penguin, taking a much-needed vacation, finds himself driving his car through the sweltering heat of Arizona. As he's cruising along, he suddenly notices that the oil pressure light is on. Concerned, he pulls over and gets out of the car, only to see oil dripping from the engine. He knows he needs to get this checked out, so he drives to the nearest town and stops at the first available gas station. The mechanic takes a quick look at the penguin's car and tells him it could take an hour or two to figure out what's wrong with it. In the meantime, the penguin decides to explore the town and pass the time. As he's walking around in the hot Arizona sun, he spots an ice cream shop. The penguin, feeling the heat, thinks that a cold treat would be the perfect way to cool off. He waddles into the shop and orders a big dish of ice cream, excited for a little relief from the heat. However, being a penguin with no hands, he struggles to eat the ice cream using his flippers. Feeling somewhat refreshed, the penguin heads back to the gas station to check on the progress of his car. When he arrives, he asks the mechanic if he's discovered the problem. The mechanic, looking up from under the hood, says, "It looks like you blew a seal." The penguin quickly responds, No, it's just ice cream." A farmer had 3 sons. They were all growing up fast and each had their own dreams and desires. One day, the oldest son came to his father and said, "Dad, I'm graduating from high school soon, and I would really love to have a car to drive." His father thought for a moment and said, "Son, come with me." He took him to the barn, pointed to the tractor, and explained, "This tractor is essential for our farm. I promise, as soon as it's paid off, we'll get you a car." The oldest boy wasn't thrilled, but he understood the importance of the tractor and accepted his father's promise. A week later, the farmer's second son approached him with a request for a new bicycle. "Dad, I've been saving up, but I still need some help to get that bike I like." "Well," the father replied, "once the tractor is paid off, we can see about getting you that bike." The second son was a bit disappointed, but he too understood the importance of the tractor. Not long after, the youngest son started pestering his father for a tricycle. He had seen one at a friend's house and desperately wanted one of his own. Again, the father explained that the tractor had to be paid off before any new purchases could be made. Feeling a little annoyed, the youngest son walked out of the barn and spotted the farm rooster meeting with one of the hens. He marched over and kicked the rooster off the hen's back, mumbling to himself. His father, who had followed him outside, asked, "Son, why on earth would you do that? The rooster didn't deserve that." The youngest son looked up at his father, his expression serious, and replied, "Well, nobody around here gets to ride anything until that darn tractor is paid off." A nurse asks a patient to remove his clothing and put on a gown before getting examined by the doctor. "In front of you?" he asked shyly, clearly feeling uncomfortable with the idea. The nurse reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, I've seen plenty of naked bodies before. It's part of my job." The patient hesitated and replied, "But not one like mine. You'd die laughing at my naked body." "Of course I won't laugh," said the nurse, trying to put the patient at ease. "I'm a professional. In over 20 years, I've never laughed at a patient's body." Feeling a bit more reassured, the patient slowly started to undress. First, he unbuttoned his shirt, took off his pants, and with a deep sigh, hesitantly pulled down his underwear. Standing in front of the nurse was a massive man with the smallest male organ that the nurse had ever seen in her life. It was almost identical to an AAA battery in length and width. Despite her best efforts, the nurse couldn't help but let out a giggle. She immediately felt terrible for laughing at the patient's private parts and tried to compose herself as quickly as possible. "I'm so sorry." The nurse apologized, her face turning red with embarrassment. "I don't know what came over me. On my honor, as a nurse, I promise that it won't happen again." Regaining her composure, she asked the patient, "Now, can you please tell me what seems to be the problem?" The patient replied, "It's swollen." 3 longtime friends find themselves huddled in the corner of a cozy pub, engaging in a lively debate about the fastest things they can conceive of. The first friend, Bill, confidently asserts, "It's absolutely sound. The moment words leave my mouth, it requires virtually no time for them to reach your ears, even if you happen to be positioned on the far side of this very room." John, the second friend, laughs and dismisses Bill's claim, "Don't be ridiculous. Light holds the record for speed in the universe. Did you not pay attention to any of our science lessons back in school? Light, as a form of pure energy, remains unchallenged in its speed. Absolutely nothing travels faster." Bill, upon recalling some dusty fragments of his old physics lessons, reluctantly nods an agreement with John's assessment. Throughout this debate, the third friend, Dave, has been listening attentively in quiet contemplation. "You've both got it wrong," Dave finally interjects. "Without a doubt, the fastest thing has to be shit." Taken aback, the other 2 friends exchange puzzled glances before turning their incredulous gaze back towards Dave. Unfazed, Dave proceeds to expel on his theory, "The other night, I decided to try my hand at cooking a seafood curry at home. I thought it would be a delightful treat for my wife and myself. However, something must have been a little off at the ingredients, because as I settled into bed that night, I could feel my stomach starting to churn. I woke up in the middle of the night feeling absolutely dreadful." John interjects, still puzzled, Dave, how does this tale relate to our discussion about the fastest things?" Dave elaborates, "Well, you see, I woke around 4 a.m. with a peculiar sensation in my stomach, and before I could so much as flick on the bedside lamp and alert my wife to my discomfort, I shit the bed." A youthful blonde woman makes her way home with an accelerated pace one day, her face lit up with excitement. As she crosses the threshold, she immediately begins searching for her mother, exclaiming, "Mommy, something fascinating happened at school today. All the other students could only manage to count up to the number 3, but I can count all the way up to 5. She demonstrates eagerly, "Just watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could this unique talent mean that I'm special?" Her mother, looking at her daughter with a soft smile, replies in a soothing voice, "Yes, my dear, indeed implies that you are special." The very next day, the vibrant blonde woman again comes dashing into her home, her eyes wide with anticipation and pride. She barely catches her breath as she announces, "Mummy, you won't believe what happened at school today. Everyone else could only say the alphabet for A to C, but I can confidently go all the way until E." She recites with an air of pride, "Look, a B, C, D, E. Could this remarkable accomplishment mean I'm special?" Her mother, suppressing her amusement, replies warmly, "Yes, dear, it definitely confirms that you are special." Yet another day, the blonde woman comes racing into the house, her face flushed with a mixture of surprise and revelation. She blurts out, "Mummy, you won't believe I noticed at school today. We were getting ready for our physical education class and I observed something. All the other girls had flat chests. But look at what I have." She quickly opens her blouse, revealing a pair of generously sized DD breasts. "Could this distinct difference mean I'm special?" Her mother releases a deep sigh and says, "No, dear, it's because you're 25. My friends, if you want to watch other funny jokes, subscribe to the channel.